So I was watching Mad Max Fury Road the other day, which is a movie I really enjoy. I think it looks beautiful. I think the set pieces are fantastic. Yeah, fun. As a car person, very fun. But I realized it's one of those movies that I'm going to just coin the term now. I don't know that it's a real term. Straight line movies. Best I can figure in Mad Max Fury Road, everybody just drives in a straight line, and then at some point they turn around and they drive back. I'm sure there's twists and turns, but at least the sake of how my brain interpreted it, everybody's just driving in a straight line movies. Mad Max Fury Road's not the only one. More recently, I would say Bullet Train, that Brad Pitt vehicle. They're literally on a train, so obviously straight line because they're on tracks. Another reference, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, when the entire Rebel fleet is trying to outrun the Imperial Armada, straight line. Ignoring the fact that a bunch of the buddies, Finn and those guys went off to Space Vegas for like a side quest, but everybody else was, trying to drive in a straight line. So straight line movies. In video games, this would be called a rail shooter. So, you're in a car, you're on rails, and you can look around, but you can't go anywhere. One of my all-time favorite games, Pokemon Snap, does this. There was also the Men in Black ride at Universal. I don't know if it's still around. I'm sure they have some version of it still, and Disney obviously, I'm sure it does this too, but you're in a car, you have a gun, you just pew, 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 that kind of thing. So, rail shooters. Having said that, it occurred to me when watching Mad Max Fury Road that there is another big, huge movie out there right now that is also, for the most part, a straight line movie. Top Gun Maverick, if you've ever heard of, that tiny independent, experimental film, Top Gun Maverick. It's not a straight line movie in the way that obviously they have planes, so they can go in, all three dimensions, blah, 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 that whole thing. But the plot is a straight line movie. Maverick was always going to fly that plane at the mission at the end. The entire story is based on trying to prove that he's not going to be the one to fly the big mission. But as we know, since his name's in the title, since it's a sequel to a movie about the main character being a hotshot pilot, he's going to be the one flying the plane. It's Tom Cruise. Of course he was. He always, never was not going to. How do we get this guy to fly the plane at the end? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying it takes away from the storytelling at all, because again, the emotionality is there. The character choices are there, but it very much is I wouldn't even say a simple plot. I would just say it's a straight line plot. It is also kind of the same plot as the Star Wars Death Star run that they have recycled over and over again, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a very specific kind of thing. So yeah, straight line movies, as long as the storytelling is good, there's no problem with it. I think Top Gun Maverick, I think Bullet Train, I think Mad Max Fury Road are all examples of the straight line thing not being a real problem with the story. The story still is very satisfying and works on its own. I would argue maybe Star Wars: The Last Jedi, an element of why it wasn't very good could have been the straight line thing. I think there's a bunch of other reasons too. But as long as you're working in the limitations of the gimmick that the story has put out in front of itself, so in this case, a straight line, it's totally fine. When it works against itself is when you have that one character who the tower or the thing is falling down and they're running in the same direction as the thing falling and they're going to get squashed when all they had to do was step out of the way. Looking at you, Charlize Theron in Prometheus. I just thought that was a good dig since, she was obviously in Mad Max Fury Road. What do you guys think? Straight line movies like a thing that you care about? Is it sort of a plot cheat, or am I just reading too much into it? Like, share, subscribe. Catch you next time.